Your children don't deserve that money. Amanda's voice echoed through the hospital hallway as she waved her phone in my face, showing me the transfer confirmation. My kids need it more than your spoiled brats ever will. I stood there, still wearing my wrinkled clothes from spending the night in the pediatric ICU with my son, trying to process what my sister-in-law had just confessed. The savings account I built over 10 years of careful planning, meant for my children's future, had been emptied in a single morning. My name is Olivia Parker, and at 35, I never imagined I'd be standing in a hospital corridor, watching my sister-in-law gloat about stealing my family's future. But there she was, designer purse on her arm, fresh manicure gleaming as she scrolled through her banking app, showing me proof of her theft. "Thank you for telling me," I said quietly, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. Amanda's smug smile faltered for a moment, clearly thrown by my calm response. "That's it," she sneered, her perfectly painted lips curling into a smirk. "No crying? No begging. Come on, Olivia, where's the drama? You always were pathetically boring." I glanced through the hospital room window where my 8-year-old son Tommy lay sleeping, finally peaceful after another round of treatments. His twin sister Sarah was at home with my mother, probably working on the get-well cards she made every day for her brother. They were the reason I couldn't fall apart right now, no matter how much I wanted to scream. "I need to get back to my son," I said, turning away from Amanda. "I'm sure you can find your way out." "Oh, I will," she laughed, her heels clicking on the linoleum floor. "And thanks for the money. My kid's private school tuition is sorted for the next 5 years." As soon as Amanda disappeared down the hallway, I pulled out my phone. My hands shook as I dialed Mark Stevens, my personal banker of 8 years. He answered on the second ring. "Olivia? I was just about to call you. We've detected some unusual activity on your account." "I know," I replied, keeping my voice low to avoid waking Tommy. "My sister-in-law just came here to brag about emptying my savings account. Please tell me the security protocols we set up worked." There was a pause and I could hear Mark typing. "Everything worked exactly as planned. The moment she attempted to access your account, our systems flagged it. We have her on camera at 3 different branches this morning and all her transfer attempts were documented. The money she thinks she transferred, it's still safe in your secure account." I closed my eyes, relief washing over me. 6 months ago, when Amanda had started asking suspicious questions about my finances, Mark had helped me set up additional security measures. We created a dummy account with a small balance, keeping the bulk of my savings in a separate secure account that required multiple forms of authentication to access. "The security footage is quite clear," Mark continued. "She tried to forge your signature on withdrawal slips at 2 branches before trying electronic transfers at the 3rd. The police have already been notified." "Perfect," I said, watching Tommy stir in his sleep. "Send everything to Diana Morton, my lawyer. She's expecting it." After hanging up, I sat down in the uncomfortable hospital chair, thinking about how we'd gotten here. Amanda had married my brother James 5 years ago, and from day one, she'd been obsessed with money. Specifically, my money. When my parents died in a car accident 3 years ago, they left me a modest inheritance. Nothing extravagant, but enough to help with the twins' education and medical expenses. Amanda had been furious, insisting that James deserved an equal share despite my parents' clear wishes. Then Tommy got sick. The doctors diagnosed him with a rare autoimmune condition that required extensive treatment. Insurance covered most of it, but the extra expenses added up. Through it all, Amanda's comments became more bitter, more pointed. "Must be nice having all that money to throw around," she'd say at family gatherings while I was discussing Tommy's treatment plans. "Some of us have to actually work for our children's future." What Amanda never knew was that I did work, constantly. Even with the inheritance, I maintained my job as a software developer, working remotely from Tommy's hospital room during his treatments. Every penny was carefully saved, not for luxury, but for security. My phone buzzed with a text from Diana. "Police want to question her today. Ready when you are." I looked at Tommy again, peaceful in his hospital bed. His condition was finally stabilizing, the new treatment protocol showing promising results. The last thing I wanted was family drama, but Amanda had forced my hand. Another text came through, this time from my brother James. "Amanda just called, crying about some misunderstanding at the bank. What's going on?" I started typing a response when Amanda burst back into the room, her face red with fury. Behind her, 2 police officers appeared in the doorway. "You set me up," she shrieked, causing Tommy to stir. "The money's not there. The transfers didn't go through." "Ma'am, please keep your voice down," one of the officers said firmly. "This is a hospital." "Mrs. Walker," the other officer addressed Amanda, "we need you to come with us. We have some questions about attempted bank fraud and forgery." Amanda's face went pale. "Fraud? No, you don't understand. That money belongs to my family. She doesn't need it. Her kids are just a drain on resources anyway." The moment those words left her mouth, something inside me snapped. I stood up, my voice low but clear. "Officer, I'd like to press charges. I have everything documented, the attempts to access my account, the forged signatures, and now this confession. My lawyer has all the evidence ready." "You can't do this to me." Amanda's voice rose to a screech. "James will never forgive you." As if on cue, my brother appeared in the doorway, his face a mask of confusion and concern. "What's going on? Amanda? Olivia?" I met his eyes steadily. "Your wife just tried to steal my children's medical fund. The police have questions for her." The look of betrayal on Amanda's face as the officers led her away would stay with me for a long time. But watching my son sleep peacefully, knowing his future was secure, I knew I'd made the right choice. James stood in the doorway looking lost. "Olivia, hi? I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything," I replied quietly. "Just make sure your wife stays away from my children." As James left to follow his wife to the police station, I settled back into my chair beside Tommy's bed. The first battle was won, but something told me this war was far from over. The next few days passed in a blur of hospital visits, police statements, and uncomfortable family conversations. Tommy was getting stronger, but the stress of Amanda's betrayal hung over everything like a dark cloud. I was reviewing Tommy's discharge papers when my phone lit up with a string of messages from unknown numbers. Amanda had apparently shared my contact information with her friends and family, unleashing a flood of accusations and guilt trips. "How dare you send Amanda to jail? She has children. You've torn this family apart. Your parents would be ashamed of you." I blocked each number methodically, remembering what my therapist had said about maintaining boundaries. Amanda had been released on bail, but the evidence against her was mounting. The bank security footage showed her spending nearly 4 hours going from branch to branch, attempting different methods to access my account. "Mrs. Parker." I looked up to see Officer Martinez, the detective handling Amanda's case. "Do you have a moment?" I followed her to a quiet corner of the hospital corridor, away from Tommy's room where he was playing video games with Sarah, who had finally been allowed to visit. "We've uncovered something concerning," Officer Martinez said, opening a folder. This wasn't Mrs. Walker's first attempt at financial fraud. She has a record of similar incidents in 2 other states, under different names. My breath caught. "What?" "It seems she's done this before, marrying into families, then attempting to access their accounts or assets. She's never been convicted because the families always drop the charges, presumably to avoid scandal." I thought about James, my kind but naive brother, who'd fallen hard for Amanda's carefully crafted image of a devoted mother and wife. How long had she been planning this? "There's more," Officer Martinez continued. "The private school tuition she mentioned. We checked with the school. Her children aren't even enrolled there. The money she tried to take, we believe she had other plans for it." Before I could respond, I heard James's voice behind me. "Olivia, we need to talk." He looked terrible, unshaved, dark circles under his eyes, his usually pristine business attire wrinkled. I nodded to Officer Martinez, who discreetly stepped away. "How's Tommy?" he asked, his voice rough. "Better. The new treatment is working. Sarah's with him now." James ran a hand through his disheveled hair. I had no idea, Liv, about any of it. The fraud, the fake names. She told me she was a kindergarten teacher when we met. I never even verified it. "James, no, let me finish. I found her phone last night, unlocked. She's been planning this for months. There are messages to some man about running away together once she got the money. Our marriage, her supposed love for me and the kids, it was all a lie." My heart broke for my brother, even as anger burned in my chest. Amanda hadn't just tried to steal my money. She planned to abandon her own children in the process. "What are you going to do?" I asked quietly. "I filed for divorce and full custody. Her kids, God, Olivia, they're devastated. They overheard her on the phone yesterday saying they were just part of her cover story. What kind of mother says that about her children? I thought about my own kids, about Tommy fighting his illness with unwavering courage, about Sarah making get-well cards every day for her twin. The idea of anyone treating children as pawns in a con game made me sick. They can stay with us, I found myself saying. Once Tommy's home, we have the space. Those kids shouldn't suffer for their mother's choices. James looked at me, tears in his eyes. After everything she did to you, you do that. They're family, James. Real family, not the kind Amanda pretended to be. Our conversation was interrupted by Sarah running out of Tommy's room, her face glowing with excitement. Mom, Tommy ate all his lunch and the doctor said his numbers are better. I hugged her close, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo. That's wonderful, sweetie. Why don't you go tell your Uncle James all about it? As Sarah dragged James toward Tommy's room, my phone buzzed with a text from Diana. Amanda's trying to cut a deal. She'll plead guilty to lesser charges if you drop the civil suit. I thought about the security footage, the fake names, the other families she tried to con. No deal, I texted back. She needs to face the consequences this time. Later that evening, as I was helping Tommy pack his things for discharge, Amanda's mother showed up at the hospital. I recognized her from the wedding. A well-dressed woman in her 60s who'd always looked down her nose at our family. You've ruined my daughter's life, she announced without preamble. I continued folding Tommy's pajamas. Your daughter ruined her own life when she chose to commit fraud. It was a misunderstanding. She was just trying to help her children. By planning to abandon them? I interrupted, my voice sharp. By using them as props in her cons. The police found everything, including her plans to run away with her boyfriend. Save your guilt trips for someone who doesn't know the truth. She stepped back, her carefully maintained facade cracking. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You raised a daughter who thinks it's okay to steal from sick children, who uses marriage and motherhood as weapons, who sees family as something to exploit rather than cherish. Now, if you'll excuse me, my son is being discharged today, and we have a lot to celebrate. After she left, I sat down heavily in the hospital chair, emotional exhaustion finally catching up with me. Through the window, I could see James playing cards with Tommy and Sarah, while his own kids watched shyly from the doorway. Despite everything Amanda had done, those children were innocent. They deserved better than a mother who saw them as disposable pieces in her twisted game. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number, probably another of Amanda's flying monkeys trying to defend her actions. But when I looked at the message, it was from Tommy's doctor. Latest test results came in. The treatment is working better than expected. Your son is beating this. I smiled, tears pricking at my eyes. Amanda had tried to steal my children's future, but she'd failed. My family was stronger than her lies, more resilient than her schemes. As I watched the kids slowly warm up to each other, Tommy dealing a new hand of cards and Sarah sharing her art supplies with her cousins, I knew we would get through this. The money she tried to steal was safe, but more importantly, so were the children. All of them. Sometimes family isn't about blood or marriage certificates. It's about choosing to love and protect each other, especially when times are tough. I picked up my phone one last time, texting Diana, move forward with all charges. No deals. It was time for Amanda to learn that real family doesn't come with a price tag and you can't con your way into love. 6 months after Amanda's arrest, I sat in a courtroom, watching her final hearing unfold. She looked different now. The designer clothes replaced by modest business wear, her perfectly maintained appearance showing signs of strain. Next to me, James held his breath as the judge prepared to deliver the sentence. Mrs. Walker, or should I say, Ms. Reynolds, given your history of similar attempts in other states, this court cannot ignore the premeditated nature of your actions. The judge's voice was firm. The evidence shows a pattern of calculated deception, not just against Mrs. Parker's family, but multiple others. Amanda's shoulders slumped as the judge continued. You are hereby sentenced to 5 years in prison, with an additional 3 years of supervised release. You are also ordered to pay restitution to your previous victims, and you will be barred from any employment involving financial management. As the gavel fell, I felt no satisfaction, only relief that this chapter was finally closing. James's children, Amy and Lucas, were waiting at home with Tommy and Sarah. probably working on their homework together under my mother's watchful eye. In the months since everything happened, they'd become inseparable. 4 kids bound together by circumstances none of them had asked for. Outside the courthouse, James turned to me. "Liv, I don't know how to thank you, not just for stopping her, but for everything after." "Their family," I said simply, remembering how naturally Amy and Lucas have fit into our home. Real family. The transition hadn't been easy. There were nightmares, tears, and questions no child should have to ask about why their mother didn't love them enough to stay. But slowly, with therapy and patience, all 4 kids were healing. Tommy's health had improved dramatically. His doctors were amazed at his progress, attributing it partly to the positive environment and the support of his new siblings. Sarah had taken on the role of protective big sister by 2 minutes, as she liked to remind everyone, helping Amy and Lucas adjust to their new school and including them in her vast network of friends. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark at the bank. "Final restitution payments from Amanda's assets have been processed. Everything's secured for the kids' future." I smiled, remembering Amanda's smug face when she thought she'd stolen their future. She never understood that money wasn't what made a family strong. It was love, trust, and the choice to stand by each other through hard times. That evening, I arrived home to find all 4 kids sprawled in the living room, surrounded by textbooks and snacks. Tommy and Lucas were debugging code on a laptop. My brother's son had inherited his aunt's programming skills. Sarah and Amy were planning their joint science fair project, their heads bent together over a notebook. "Mom," Tommy called out, "did the judge make her pay for what she did?" I sat down among them, noting how they instinctively shifted to make room for me and their circle. "Yes, she did. But that's not what's important now. What's important is right here in this room." "Us?" Amy asked quietly, still sometimes unsure of her place. "Exactly," I pulled her into a hug. "All of us together." James came over for dinner, as he did most nights now. He'd moved into a house just a few blocks away, making it easy for Amy and Lucas to spend time with both of us. We'd found a rhythm that worked, creating new traditions and memories that helped ease the pain of the old ones. After dinner, as the kids cleared the table, a chore they developed their own elaborate system for, James helped me load the dishwasher. "Did you see the letter?" he asked quietly. I nodded. Amanda had written from prison asking to see the kids. Her lawyer claimed she'd changed, that she wanted to make amends. "What do you think?" he asked. "I think it's their choice," I replied. "When they're ready, if they're ever ready, we'll support them. But we don't let her hurt them again." Later that night, after homework was done and kids were tucked into bed, I sat in my home office, looking at a family photo we'd taken last month. It showed all 6 of us at Tommy's last hospital checkup, not because he was sick, but because he was finally being declared in remission. We were all smiling, genuine smiles that reached our eyes. Amanda had tried to steal more than money. She tried to steal our sense of security, our trust in family. But in failing, she'd inadvertently given us something precious, a reminder that real wealth isn't measured in bank accounts or trust funds. It's measured in late-night homework sessions, shared jokes over dinner, and the knowledge that no matter what happens, you're not alone. My phone lit up with one final text for the day from Officer Martinez. "Just heard Amanda's former victims are speaking out. Your case gave them courage. You've helped more families than you know." I looked at the photo again, at these 4 amazing kids who'd been through so much but still found reasons to smile every day. Amanda thought she was destroying our family, but she'd only proved how unbreakable we really were. Money can be stolen, but the kind of wealth we built, trust, love, resilience, that was something no con artist could ever touch.